You are now listening to Imprint with Nesreen on Yahala Voice.
You're listening to Imprint. My name is Nesreen. I'm your host and our director, Hiba Mahmoud. Rami Kashou was one of the top designers on Season 4 of Project Runway. He's a favorite among Hollywood fashionistas such as Fergie, Jessica Alba, Heidi, Klum, and Paris Hilton. And he's on air with us now to give us the scoop on his journey to what led him to being a leading fashion designer, not only in LA, but nationwide. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Rami.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Rami, I want you to tell us, when did it all start?
As young as I probably remember. When I was 5 or 6 years old, my grandmother used to tell me, because I can't remember that far, that I used to kind of pick her outfits for her and my mother as well. I think...
Go ahead.
I started sketching at an early age. I grew up in Ramallah, and there weren't that many activities after school. So I was just mainly sketching and designing, and it was just a dream that started building from there.
Now, in the Arab world, a man fashion designer for women's clothing is rare to find. What do you say about that?
I think that when God gives someone a gift, they don't choose whether it's going to be a boy or a girl. And I think that it was a God-given gift that I learned to embrace and accept and share it with the world.
So tell me a little bit about how you told your parents.
Well, I never did, actually. My brother, years later, as I've been sketching and collecting notebooks, he actually found one of my notebooks and kind of like snuck it from behind my back and showed it to them. So naturally I was nervous, but I didn't know what they were going to think, that, their son's drawing dresses. But to my surprise, they were actually impressed. They saw that there was actually something there.
I mean, I bet if they've seen the scripts, things that you've been doing, and it's amazing, and these little sketches that you've been doing, I could not believe that they would have a problem with it.
Well, they did. So they were lucky. And they've been great advocates and supporters, actually.
So what attracted you to create women's clothing?
I think that when I started designing, it was more about fantasy, and it was more about, kind of like escaping the situation at the time. Growing up under the occupation was very difficult. So when I think of fantasy, I think of like romance, I think of beauty, I think of details. So somehow it just subconsciously went towards designing for women.
Now, I know that your mother was also former Miss Jordan. Has that impacted your decision at all?
I'm sure that's been infused within me also, because I think sometimes, you kind of inherit these things without really knowing. My mother was also a lover of fashion as well, so I think that that definitely plays a role as well.
So how long have you been in the States, Rami?
I moved to the States in 1996.
And has that helped your career at all? Or how different is it to be in America rather than being Ramallah or anywhere else in the Arab world?
I think that, being in the States definitely offers a huge opportunity in terms of, whether you're an entrepreneur or if you have an idea, no matter what it is, whether it's clothing or what, you can actually build a fan base, you can find a market, and people tend to be receptive to new ideas. So I think the chances of success were definitely greater here in the U.S.
Now, did you have anything back in Ramallah that you were working with?
No, you know what? I think my last real experience on hands-on fashion was arranging a fashion show for a high school in I think 11th grade or something.
Now, I know I've heard you...
real design was in the States.
Now, I know I've heard you say that you came to America for the dream. Are you living that dream?
I am. You know what? I really am. But I think, like any other dream, when you set certain goals and you accomplish them, in a way that dream has been accomplished, and you almost kind of need to renew that dream, and you need to kind of reach new goals and pave new avenues of what that path is.
Mm-hmm.
So the dream that I once had when I was a kid, wanting to, be a designer and wanting to be established and all of these things, I realized that I've been blessed to have accomplished all of those things that you kind of almost need to reinvent the dream in a way, and that's what I'm learning as I go along.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about what designers inspire you.
I mean, when I think of designers, I think of the way different people can look at a piece of garment from a different perspective. It may not have to be the same aesthetic as mine, but I certainly can appreciate someone's attention to detail from their angle that they're looking at something,
okay,
or redefining a classic dress or a gown. And with those, I think, I have much respect for Valentino, Alexander McQueen, Jean-Paul Gaultier. Those were like the real geniuses, I think, that kind of really set a really strong statement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now I feel like, the industry is very different from what it was for them. I think that fashion is moving in a much more faster pace on a much mass production level. So with that comes a great deal of adjustment as well.
Rami, looking at your portfolio, it's quite impressive. You've designed costumes for Madonna's Super Bowl halftime show. You've draped silhouettes for celebrities such as Penelope Cruz, Fergie, Jessica Alba, and Queen Rania of Jordan. How important is it for you to have celebrities wear your clothing?
I think it starts with a huge compliment that, somebody whom I may have admired or whom I found as an icon to be interested in my work, or my work even visible to them, is a huge, huge compliment. So with that comes like a personal experience with, like meeting Queen Rania, for example, was definitely an amazing experience. And with that comes, it's almost like sets your work on a much different platform. It introduces you in a global way and your work, and it's a huge honor.
Let's talk a little bit about Queen Rania. I mean, wow. How did you get her to notice your work?
It was a big surprise after I finished filming the show Project Runway. Mm-hmm. And after some of the Middle Eastern press, the Arabic press knew that I was, a Palestinian designer. So I got great opportunities to do interviews with magazines and different networks and things like that. Mm-hmm. Among that was a first story featured in a Jordanian magazine, and the Queen happened to see it. She read my story, and her assistant reached out to me through my website, and the next thing I knew, I was flying to New York to meet with the Queen. It was 1, 2, 3, like I said. It was hard to believe at first. But, she was definitely such a pleasure to meet. A very humble and really friendly and warm person, and had a lot of kind words. Mm-hmm. And it led to designing several looks for her, actually.
And how about the infamous and renowned music artist Sabah? Tell us a little bit about the day when she stepped into your store.
Oh, Sabah. I worked on the infamous Melrose Avenue back when it was, the place to come shop, when people were flying in from Japan and flying in from all over the world. Mm-hmm. It was like a Hollywood staple, that street. So Sabah happened to be in there, I believe, with her daughter. And, she was looking at different, the craziest pieces, of course. And we started talking, and she was very friendly, and she looked done up from head to toe. It was one of those, it was like meeting Cher, you know what I mean? It's equivalent to that.
Definitely.
It was awesome.
So tell me, what other celebrities have bought your clothing or dresses?
Let's see. Jennifer Lopez at one point. Jada Pinkett Smith. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure that those are people who actually walked into stores and bought my pieces. Teen Rania, of course, Heidi Klum, Kim Kardashian's dress also. So, you know, there's been a handful. I'm very grateful for it.
So how about celebrities in the Arab world? Have you tried to work with them at all?
You know, it hasn't been that easy. I would love to. And I have not really been able to connect with certain people yet. But it would be a great pleasure for me to actually work with Arabic singers and Ajram. So,
now, what's your reach exactly? Are you trying to just focus in America, or are you trying to expand?
You know, I mean, expanding is always a focal point in what I do. But at the same time, I believe in gradual growth versus an overnight growth. Because I feel like that has much more longevity. So at the time being, I'm focusing more on the business. I just recently relocated to New York City because I feel like that's going to be a better place for me to grow deeper roots and continue to evolve as a designer. At the same time, it also connects me to the global world.
Now, are you in New York working in a physical location, or are you online?
Well, no, I am online, and I have my own workspace, but it's not a public space. And for the most part, it's online, and I'm leading towards a new collection, hopefully to go into the wholesale business, where the work will be more accessible.
Okay. Now, Rami, everyone has their own style, and it's evident that you have your own style and what you're known for. Why don't you tell us what your signature is?
In terms of design or my own personal style?
Design. I mean, you could tell us both.
Well, the draping definitely comes to mind. I think when I design, for me, the way I envision folding and creasing and pleating fabric, it's very similar to the way you almost draw with an artist's pencil. I'd like to design in 3D, like three-dimensional, where you could kind of like get different elements of the design that kind of complete each other from the front to the side to the back of the garment. And I also think that sophistication is something that's always a strong element in what I do, and I think romance as well.
So, Rami, you are the designer for the first bridal collection ever for BB. What do you tell us about that? How did it come about?
That was actually, having worked with a lot of brides on a system level, I wanted to have the opportunity to actually deliver my work on a much bigger scale. So at the time, BB was considering doing a bridal collection, and I thought it would be a great way to kind of exercise the commercial value of my bridal design work. And we finally agreed on doing a capsule collection for them. And basically, I launched the product, and it was sort of like a mutual agreement. It was all about timing. I started speaking to the CEO and opened the dialogue. And the next thing you knew, the collection was available and it was online.
And what was your inspiration for the bridal collection you completed for them?
I think when I think of each bride, I always envision it to like biggest red carpet moments. You know, no matter who she is or what her background is, what her lifestyle is like. It's just like dressing a celebrity on their big day. I think that's perfect day. So each gown has its own inspiration, really. But romance, drama, I mean, every bride wants details. She wants something classic, but at the same time, she wants to look different. So I tried to offer different body styles to kind of like address and include different types of brides.
After this short clip, we're going to be right back with Rami and more of his journey, and we're going to take a deep look into Project Runway.
13 all-star designers here.
I like that it's plaid, and she doesn't look fat. That's already you're already ahead of the game. I think you have an edge over the other designers in terms of execution. You mastered all of these elements. You kind of, made them your...
Ken, what were your thoughts?
I have to tell you, it transported me immediately to a front row in Paris. It's superlative. It's like looking at haute couture, and I have to agree with you, Isaac. I think that the execution is flawless for something coming from the 99-cent store. You could photograph this, you could put it in an editorial in a magazine, and no one would have any idea that those are umbrella parts, and I could see that going from the dream of the runway into the reality of a woman's wardrobe in seconds flat.
It's a full house in here. Well, I just want to say I'm very, very, very excited to be here with so many of you who are about to share this very special moment where I get to show this collection that I strongly believe in. It speaks my voice as a designer, and it celebrates women. And I think women should be cherished and treated as beautiful muses every day in life. Enjoy the show, and thank you for being here. Have a good night.
Look great. Who are you wearing? You gotta ask us.
I'm wearing a Rami Kashou.
I know this man. I've been to your showroom, tried on your clothes in person. His clothes are absolutely beautiful. I love them so much.
Thank you.
Chris, you're in. Rami, you're also in.
I would be caught dead in his clothes.
Fashion is my life.
Who will be the next big fashion designer?
That's me.
Bottom line, I'm the best. I will own the runway.
For these 15 designers, Project Runway is a chance of a lifetime.
And we're back on Imprint with Rami Kashou, a renowned Hollywood fashion designer. You're listening to us on our main website at www.yahalavoice.com. Rami, what do you tell us about being on Project Runway?
Well, it's a surreal experience. I'll tell you that. It's not it's not an experience you have through real life. It's almost like, as much as it's called a reality show, it's definitely an unreal experience. But I think that it pushed me as a technical designer and as a creative designer, and I think that it kind of helped me evolve in a way.
Mm-hmm. Was it your first time being on TV for a contest such as that?
Oh yeah, I've never competed with designs or anything before.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know Project Runway is dramatic. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and many reality TV shows are the same. What are some of the obstacles you faced?
I think that at times it can be extremely intensified to a way where, like, the smallest things become the biggest things. Because in the end, I think that for producers, it's a story and they want to sell a show. Mm-hmm. And they want to keep ratings up. And, if everything is going smoothly, then the ratings would not be as favorable.
So is it really that hectic behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's very hectic. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that sometimes the editing can change a story slightly. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, the advantage of being a designer, your work can never really be edited. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So your work will always show itself, in its real state.
It seems as if they're going from one dramatic scene to the next dramatic scene. So it seems as if the whole competition is full of drama. I mean, I don't know if that's the way it is actually behind the scenes or not. Sometimes I feel that you can't even get sleep when you're working on these designs.
Well, it was a very intense experience. I mean, I pretty much was on like 4 and 5 hours of sleep for like 30 days in a row. So in the end, I remember we all lost a significant amount of weight. And, you're overworked, you're stressed out, you're not eating well because you're working day and night. Yeah. And then you still have to be creative and fresh all the time. So it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Rami, let's talk about the final runway before the elimination. What was going through your mind while your clothing was showcased?
By that point, I was so exhausted that I was there, but I wasn't there at the same time. I mean, it was nerve-wracking in a way, because, you know, it was like the end of this huge roller coaster, and by that time I was extremely busy and exhausted. But I still believed in what I did. I just didn't know which way it was going to go. And honestly, I couldn't wait for it to be over. I was just exhausted by that point.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what your favorite item from that line was.
I really do love the... it was an olive green silk basket woven corset gown.
Mm-hmm.
And through the basket weaves, I had some really light chiffon, kind of like flowing out in and out between the weave, like a waterfall.
So how long did it take you to make that design?
That took like 2 weeks.
Wow. I just want to throw it out there that the champagne dress with the layering effect was my personal favorite. It was truly stunning.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was stunning.
That one took like over a month and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Rami, were you surprised with the judge's decision of picking Christian instead of you?
No, honestly, at that point, I wasn't. I just honestly was relieved that it was over. I mean, of course, naturally, later on, after, you know, getting off that sort of, out of that bubble, mm-hmm. it was sad. It was difficult for me to get over, because it's personal. It's like, it's my art. It's something that I've, you know, worked so hard on since I was a kid. And I felt like it was a huge sacrifice to share it on such a public platform. But at the same time, I'm grateful that I walked away with, like, positive reviews. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you know, being so close to something and then not being able to have it in the end definitely was difficult.
Do you think that because
But it forces you to kind of redefine success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rami, do you think that it was hard for you to show how serious you were, given that you were on reality TV?
Can you say that again?
Do you think it was hard to show how serious you were because you were on reality TV?
No, I think that came through. Mm-hmm. I think, if anything, I was probably too serious and guarded, because at the same time I felt like I needed to protect my work.
Definitely.
I also understood that this is a show where people are going to nitpick and poke jokes at your work. Mm-hmm. So that was something I was very sensitive towards.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did Project Runway help you on your journey?
I think it helped me in public speaking, for one. I also think that it really made me really kind of understand that this is a brand and this is an opportunity to kind of sell a brand. Mm-hmm. So when I walked off that show, I felt established in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you keep in touch with anyone after Project Runway?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
Oh, well, how about any of the presenters, Heidi, Klum, anyone?
Actually, somebody from a different season. I became friends with Jarrell, who's an awesome guy. And from other seasons, not so much from my season, to be honest. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But Heidi Klum, no, I mean, we've had like a professional relationship where I've worked with her stylist, and you know, I've gone to her house and I've done a fitting. But you know, these are more like professional relationships more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, I know the owner of Papyrus asked if you would like to make a dress out of their paper products post Project Runway. Tell us a little bit about
that. It was Fashion's Night Out, which is an annual event that all retailers kind of do special events in store to promote sales and promote their products. And she wanted to infuse fashion into her stationery product. And she had requested that I design an evening gown out of her paper products, basically.
Mm-hmm. Now,
so I created an origami gown for the first event.
And how did the event go? What was the response?
It was amazing. I mean, it was a great event, and I've never made something that elaborate out of paper. So it was something that kind of like pushed me creatively as well. Mm-hmm. And it led to, 5 other gowns, and I launched a lot of greeting cards for the company as well.
So now, is it paper that's woven onto material, or how is that?
Basically, the way I designed it was like I built an actual garment out of like a sturdy fabric, like a lined cotton. And then on top of that, so it's functional, I actually then sewed in the paper details. So by the time it was finished, it was all paper. Mm-hmm. But the model was still able to wear it and walk around in it, and, it lasted more than, a few hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. You're listening to Imprint on our main website, www.yahalavoice.com. We'll be back with more with Rami Kashou.
علي صوتك مع صوت ياهلا.
File your tax with Elite Accounting and Tax. Guaranteed maximum refund, accurate, fast, and friendly service. IRS problems? Elite Accounting and Tax can help. We pay attention to every details to get the deduction you deserve. Elite Accounting and Tax is located at 9944 South Roberts Road in Palos Hills. For appointment, call Khalid El Atiyah, CPA, 708-586-8066. Mention Yahala Voice and get $50 off or free DVD player. Refer a friend and get $25. Hurry up!
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Dana, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
أنا وأعوذ بالله من كلمة أنا رياض عجور حارس يا بلادي يا رحبة ومش عشان هيك هي فلتاني على راديو ياهلا فويس كل يوم 2 الساعة 4 اسمعوا يا بلادي يا رحبة.
مركز المدينة للخدمات العامة، ضرائب، تأمين، سياحة وسفر. مركز المدينة للخدمات العامة يوفر لكم أفضل الأسعار للحج والعمرة. ستجدون لدينا الخدمة المميزة لكل ما يلزم معاملات الضرائب والشركات مع فرصة للفوز بهاتف آيفون أسبوعياً. مركز المدينة للخدمات العامة 10344 South Harlem Avenue 708-599-0764.
المدينة معا نحو الأفضل.
مين عنده 0% انترست ولمدة 84 شهر؟ مان كاريز كرايسلر جيب تقسيط ل 84 شهر وبدون فائدة، زيرو فائدة، زيرو زيب، صفر nothing ولا شيء. مان كاريز عنده 800 سيارة جديدة، كرايسلر جيب دوج رام تراكس 18 سنة أو أكبر. بغض النظر عن الكريدت كل واحد رح يصير عنده سيارة. 250 سيارة مستعملة، بس انت نقي واختار. اشتري سيارتك من واحد بيحكي لغتك. عمران العساف وحمزة القواسمي بانتظارك في مان كاريز 4630 West 95th Street in Oakland 708-423-0910 mancary.com.
Guys, it's bad enough to live in a city where there's no sea to swim in. Oh, come on, you miss it. But you can at least eat right from the sea while in Chicago. Amira Foods brings you fresh fish every day. Yes, fresh fish. You heard me right. Fresh fish and every day and in Chicago. Amira Food also has veggies, fruits, halal meat, and did I mention fresh fish? Amira Food is located on Devon and Western at 6419 Northwestern Avenue in Chicago, next to Chicago Live Poultry. 773-338-8400. Amira Food. Eat fresh.
أنا خالد وحابب أحكي لكم هالتنبيه. خلال برنامج اطلب اتمنى يمنع النوم منعا باتا. اطلب اتمنى بيجيكم كل اثنين وخميس الساعة 3 والثلاثة الساعة 7 والسبت على 2. أي أغنية حابب تسمعها أو تهديها just let me know. أما النوم no.
Listen to the radio and listen to
Yahala Voice.
You're listening to Imprint on Yahala Voice on our main website at www.yahalavoice.com, and we're with Hollywood fashion designer Rami Kashou. I apologize. Rami, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Rami, now everyone has a moment where he or she feels a success after lots and lots of work. What's your moment of success?
Moment of success?
Yes.
I think that... you mean after finishing a collection, or...?
In a general sense. So how do you know that you've succeeded?
Oh, I understand. Okay. I think as I evolve as a human being, my definition of success changes. Mm-hmm. I think that success is when you can stand tall and proud over something that you believe in, no matter what other people are saying. Because by the end of the night, you are that person who is going to go to sleep with it, and it really, peace of mind, having that peace of mind is the most important.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you deal with, I know that everyone has resented something. What do you do with negative thoughts or negative feedback? How do you go about that?
I feel like it kind of sometimes gives me like ammunition to kind of go harder and like prove even more of a point. But at the same time, I honestly try not to pay attention to it, because I always think that, you can't imagine and expect everyone to get what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. But luckily, for the most part, maybe I'm just missing it. I don't hear it as much. So I'm thankful for that.
Mm-hmm. Rami, let's talk about what you're currently working on. You have your online store, ramikashou.com. What's your goal with that website?
Well, ideally, I want it to be sort of like a platform where I can showcase my most creative work. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, the whole online factor for sales is something very different, because when you're selling online, elaborate evening gowns that need fittings and measurements is a little bit difficult. So I'm trying to kind of like find a happy medium between creating commercial work and then creating the kind of design work that kind of feeds the artist within me as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm also working with a lot of brides at the time being.
Mm-hmm. Individually?
And currently working, yes, individually.
Okay.
And I have an upcoming fashion show in Tampa, Florida on April 4th for Project United Way, which is a profit that supports children. Mm-hmm. And provides like medical and health insurance and coverage for children. And there's more to come. I'm in talks with a bridal company to hopefully develop a bridal line with them.
Mm-hmm. So, Rami, what's your ideal location to sell your items? Do you want to focus solely in America?
I mean, in New York is definitely a location when I think of selling my work. Mm-hmm. And I would also include Los Angeles. But it would also be a dream of mine to have a base in the Middle East somewhere. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like there is a market that I feel like I haven't fully reached out to yet.
Yes.
And it takes work and planning.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that you are designing a dress for Nancy Ajram. I don't know if that's completed or you're still working on it.
No, I've actually said that I'm really interested in designing for her, mm-hmm. because I like her music. Mm-hmm. But we have not been introduced yet.
Oh, well, definitely. Hopefully in the future. I don't think that if she were to see your designs, she would have any issues with getting to know you, Rami. Rami,
I would hope so.
Since wedding season is coming up, give us a little idea of what the price point is for your bridal dresses.
Well, there's a difference. When I'm working with a bride on a custom, it's sort of like an 8-month relationship where you have, anywhere from like 4 to 5 fittings. You make changes and alterations. She partakes in the design process as well. So let's say for a custom gown, it would start at $3,800, and it could go up to like $12,000.
How about your other gowns?
That's on average. Other gowns, I've designed commercial wedding gowns, like the ones for Bebe, were anywhere from like $850 to average $1,800.
Now, have you thought of coming out with lines that are more affordable, or are you planning on sticking with the high-end designs?
No, I am interested in that. But at the same time, I think as a designer, it's important to stay focused on what it is exactly you want to do, because I want to make sure that I'm not running like 10 different businesses at the same time.
Definitely.
So now I'm like studying the whole market and what I want to deliver next. And I feel like it's going to be a new and improved version of what I've always done.
Now, where do you see yourself and your brand 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I would love the opportunity to expand into like a lifestyle brand where I'm designing what we're talking about, like a ready-to-wear version of what I do of the evening wear that I'm currently designing, that are more on a mass market level. But I also love designing, like I would love designing accessories and bags and potentially other things. I mean, I really enjoyed designing greeting cards. I think that was really a fun process.
It's different.
And just more like lifestyle items.
Now, Rami, as everyone knows, the Oscars are this Sunday. What trends should we expect on the red carpet?
I mean, that's going to be interesting to see. I feel like certain colors are really big. Honestly, like I feel like that day is actually going to change how people are going to look at evening wear, because I feel like that's the defining moment of where designers are going. There's a sense of minimalism, I feel like, in evening gowns that I see that create bold statements as well. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of I can only guess and predict, to be honest. But what I would like to see is a range of color versus just like 3 different colors that people are repeating on the red carpet.
Definitely. Are there any Rami Kashou designs?
Well, you never know, honestly. As of now, like if people pull, sometimes you find out the day of, or you find out at that hour. So some things have been pulled, but I don't have any news so far.
Well, I hope so. Keep me updated with that one.
Fingers are crossed.
Rami, what keeps you driven in this industry, given that there are many designers in the field today?
I think that, honestly, traveling and seeing the world always keeps me with a fresh outlook on how I want to reinvent something. Like traveling and seeing different cultures and different fabrics and prints and just lifestyles, I think inspires me. So I try to keep myself as well-rounded as possible.
Definitely.
And being in New York is part of that as well.
Now, how has New York changed it up for you a bit since were in LA and now you're in New York?
I think being in New York kind of gives you a closer grip on the global market versus just the U.S. market. Because it's sort of a connector between the U.S. and other countries. And in a way, the fashion here is slightly different as well. Obviously, the weather plays a big part of it. But it's exciting. It's creative. It's not just red carpet based. You see all different shapes and colors and sizes of fashion.
Rami, tell me what you're currently working on.
Right now, I'm working on a collection of dresses that are pretty much more wearable accessible, and hopefully something that is going to go online and something that is not going to be too complicated to purchase online, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically dresses that are about detail and about. I'll let them speak for themselves when they're out.
And are you going to have that on your website as well?
Yes.
Great. Rami, before we let you go, I want you to give some words of advice for all of the aspiring fashion designers out there. What would you like to tell them?
I think that make sure that you're doing it for genuine and real reasons. Because if you think it's all just glamour, that's a very small percentage of it. There's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. So if you don't love something, you're not going to weather the difficult times. And I feel like it's that kind of industry that sometimes can be very challenging and difficult. And you have to survive it as well.
Wise words. Definitely. Passion is very important whenever you're doing anything.
Yeah.
Rami, I'd like to thank you for being with us today and would love to invite you in the studio when you're in Chicago.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Likewise. Once more, we were with Hollywood favorite fashion designer Rami Kashou that has designed gowns and outfits for renowned celebrities such as Paris Hilton, Jessica Alba, Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, and the list goes on. Make sure to check out his website at www.ramikashou.com, RAMIKASHOU.com for more details.